Welcome to the 2021 Spring Meetings Governor Talks. I'm Abebe Selassie, Director of the African Department here at the IMF. I want to thank Minister Lassane Kabore for joining me today. Digitalization presents important opportunities and challenges for fiscal policy. It can facilitate the collection of relevant and reliable information for the formulation and implementation of tax and expenditure policies. It can enable economic actors to access information and platforms that facilitate tax payments and other transactions with public administration. And it can help improve governance and transparency by making relevant information available to the public. However, there are, of course, risks associated with digitalization. One of these is the uneven access to digital tools that can exacerbate existing inequalities. Burkina Faso has taken important steps in recent years to digitalize public administration. In the area of revenue mobilization, completed and ongoing reforms include the computerization of tax filing and payment, enhancement of digital interconnectivity between the tax and customs administrations, and the extension of interconnectivity with neighboring countries. With regard to expenditure management and tracking, important advances have been made, resulting in all civil servants receiving their salaries through electronic bank transfers and centralized payroll platform that interconnects all civil ministries. Given the persistent security crisis, the authorities are also planning to use mobile money transfers as a vehicle to pay salaries to soldiers deployed in remote locations where bank penetration is low. In addition, a Treasury single account is near operational, and the underlying software has been connected to the central bank, allowing access to timely domestic and international SWIFT payments. The country has also made good progress on debt management system, which runs on a fully digital and operational platform now. Let me ask Minister Lassane Kabore to elaborate on these recent developments. Minister, very good to see you today. What are the key achievements of Burkina in terms of digitalizing and implementing fiscal policy, both on the revenue and expenditure side in recent years?
Thank you, Mr. Abe, dear Director. First of all, I would like to say that it is its drive to modernization, public administration, and better serve to its citizens, the government of Burkina Faso, with the support of technical and financial partners, including the IMF, has undertaken the digitalization of its revenue and expenditure administration for over 20 years. Under the leadership of His Excellency, the President of Kabore, President of Faso, and the guidance of His Excellency, the Prime Minister, the process of digitalization, fiscal administration has intensified over the past 5 years. As a result, progress has been made in computerizing all the traditional tax and custom procedure and improving user interface and the exchange of information. In terms of revenue administration, I would like to highlight a few areas where we have made progress. First, the introduction of the unique financial identifier, where we call IFU, which allow to identify all taxpayers in Burkina Faso and to accelerate the registration and management. The software used to manage this unique identifier has recently undergone a major upgrade to include the geolocation coordinates of taxpayers to better track them. Another important system is the so-called syntax, or Système informatisé de taxation. Syntax is used for the management of tax assessment, control, and collect operation at the General Tax Directorate. It is an integrated software program for tax procedure and which allow taxpayers to file and pay their tax at any counter of the tax authority, regardless of where the operators are headquartered. We also have a one-stop window or system integrate and what we call the guichet unique, which facilitate the management of property, title, and rights in Burkina Faso, including the insurance and transfer of land and property title. There is also the system we call the tax residence, what we collect for the collection and local government tax. We are in the progress of incorporate this software to syntax, the integrated system I mentioned earlier. We also have what we call Info Center, which is a tax data warehouse that is used to cross-check information and analyze the risk of tax loss. Info Center also supports decision-making by providing decision makers with ratio and indicator that are critical for policymakers. Another important system is in our country is the system de gestion automatisée des recettes, what we call SIGAR. The collection of service fees is fragmented across the public administration, thereby lending to inefficient process. The SIGAR system aims to consolidate and manage the entire process of collection fees in the public administration. We are also putting effort into improving user interface, remote access, and remote payment. This effort aims to improve the efficiency of tax administration, but also governance and transparency. In this regard, I would like to mention a few achievements. The e-syntax, which allows for online filing and payment of tax. The system also facilitates the issuance of electronic tax certificates, the online request for VAT refund, the remote filing of tax refund, and much more. Also, the tax payment by mobile money is possible for some tax, such as the motor vehicle tax and the residence tax. We plan to extend option for digital payment in the near future. At the custom, the main software used is in Sidonia World, which is open to all users without any prior authorization for services such as custom tariff and document tracking, which allow to check the status of the filing of payment. In addition of this, each of the Revenue Administration Directorate has a website which offer other services such as downloading of tax reform, the posting of regulation and provision relating to national and international taxation, and the possibility of checking the stickers of the standardization invoices. With regard to the management and monitoring of expenditure, significant progress has also been made in terms of digitalization, in particular for the monitoring and online processing of the various expenditure files of the public administration. In this respect, I can mention, for example, the integrated expenditure circuit, which is implemented throughout the administration. Finally, an e-procurement project is currently underway. At the present stage, we are about to adopt a strategy for the democratization of public procurement procedure, the first phase of which will consist of a pilot project. At the same time, we plan to digitize the entire payroll system for civil servants. That is a key issue we are starting done now. And as you say, the digitalization is very important for my country. In the particular, when I take duty here, when we face a strong strike for trade union, if we don't have the digital, it will be difficult for my country to continue to mobilize the tax for the payment of expenditure. That is very important for us.
Thank you, Minister. That was very, very helpful. If I could follow up and ask a question. I mean, of course, digitalization, particularly what you described as in the tax administration area, will facilitate quite a lot of tax payments, will make it easier for taxpayers to pay taxes. But what do you see as the impact of digitalization having been on fiscal policy overall? Has it actually resulted in better spending on the spending side or more revenues on the revenue side? And what lessons can other countries learn from your country's experience?
Thank you. We can say it's true that digitalization has improved the level of domestic source collection. The implementation of all these tools I just mentioned has led to satisfy the result. Thus, for tax administration, digitization has made it possible to achieve the expected target, namely, with the taxpayer database, the availability of tax information, a more effective fight against tax evasion and avoidance, the efficient cross-checking of tax information and different vision of the tax administration by taxpayer. As a result, in 2020, we can see that all the large enterprise have filed the tax online. So that is a very important for us. I want to recall that the large enterprise represent more than 70% of the tax local tax revenue. Also, I can mention that the remote filing of custom declaration, which led to the elimination of some human contact, thus contributing to the improvement of the business climate in the custom. Furthermore, in the region, Burkina Faso is pioneer in the computerization of custom transit, which has made the transit of goods faster on the national territory. The reform has served as a base for the interconnection of computer systems with several countries such as Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, and Niger. Beyond these three neighboring countries, Burkina Faso expertise is sought by ECOWAS, weaving the framework of the interconnection system for the management of goods in transit, what they call SIGMAT, which aim to facilitate data exchange between custom administration in the region. So we now work hardly with ECOWAS to share our experience.
In the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, which I think in many ways has mirrored the digital divide between more digitalized countries coping a bit better in terms of business continuity and our countries. I wanted to ask you to what extent you feel the pandemic has reshaped the government's thinking and strategy on the importance of digitalization in public administration.
Thank you, Abe. The government is quite aware of the importance of digitalization. as demonstrated by the digitalization strategy it adopted in 2018. However, the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic has given further impetus the digitalization process. Since then, the government has undertaken measures, including another by the Prime Minister in July 2020 on the adoption of digital application for the public administration. The new commitment made in the National Development Framework that is being currently analyzed, and we have also a roadmap on digitalization that will be adopted in the next few days by the ministry in charge of digital economy. Last, we are undertake the strategy document being developed that integrates aspects of the digitalization of public administration. Thus, with the outbreak of COVID-19, we are faced of teleworking, remote filing, and remote payment are now part of the work habit in public financial services. Finally, given the continuous security crisis in the authority on my country also plan to use mobile money transfer to pay the salary of troops deployed in the remote location where bank penetration is low. So we have all these status of implementation, and we can tell that is very, very important. We can conclude and highlight that the government is committed to make Burkina Faso a benchmark in the digitalization of public administration with a view to good economic and financial governance. This explains the many projects that have been undertaken. We are aware the informality reduce the efficiency of the tax system. So we plan with the advancing financial technology and the high penetration of cell phone to build an efficient, fair, and sustainable tax system. So that's why we can tell, and particularly COVID-19, the way we are already make progress in digitization help us to face the challenging we have with COVID-19. Thank you very much.
Minister Kabore, Chair Lassane, thank you so very much for your time today. And thank you everyone for joining us. From the IMF and in Washington, I wish you a very good day.
Thank you, Abebe. And also, we see somewhere we face of infrastructure system constraints. So we need to invest more in to modernize our system, and we see each other next time. Thank you very much.